Hey guys, welcome back. So today we are going to see about Dockerfile. Okay, so what exactly is Dockerfile? So it is a text file containing step-by-step instructions like how Docker should build a image. Okay, so it is like you can think it like a recipe. Okay, so in case if you're going to bake a cake or something, so you need all the raw materials, baking powders, and then you have to place it in a oven, and then you have to cook it, and then you have to add all the sugars, everything, right? Similarly, you can choose a base image. Okay, so always it should be with the name from. Okay, and you have to install all the required tools. For example, in case if you are creating a Jenkins, then it needs a dependency of JDK. In case of some other application, there will be some dependencies, right? So all those things can be installed using run command. Okay, and then you have to copy the application code. Okay, so that you can copy it using copy command. Okay, and we have something called work directory. So at what location the application has to work. So at what path it has to work. Okay. So that is set by work directory. Okay. And expose the application once it is created, like once the image is created, it should be exposed at some port number, so where the external users can try to access it. Okay, so there we define the expose ports. Okay, and once that is run, we use the run command. We can just define cmd or entry point. Okay, so in case if it is cmd, like you can change it during the runtime, whereas entry point, in case if it is given, you cannot change those things. Okay, so this is how exactly the docker file will be there. So this is a sample docker file. Okay, so how exactly it starts? So first you can use like image. Okay, so here we have used the node application, so we have defined from. Okay, all these things should be in capital letters. Then we define the uh, image, base image. So the base image can be anything. Here we use node.js application, so we have given node 18. In case if you are using some java based application, then you can use jdk or some other thing. Okay, in case if you are using python application, you can define from python. Okay, and you have to set the work directory. Work directory, like it is the place where the application code, everything will be copied, and where the application will run. And when you use copy, it will copy the code which is written by developers. Those code has to be copied into the image, right? So only when that code is there, we will create image, and we will be able to run that image and create a container. Okay, and run, in case if there are some dependencies, we can install it using run command. Okay, npm install is the node package manager, so we have to install that one. And in case if there are some other things that has to be copied apart from the json, then you can copy those things. Okay, and then you can expose that on a port number. So we are exposing it on port 3000, and we are starting the application. To start the node.js application, the command is npm start. Okay, so we are passing it in cmd. So once we have defined it in cmd, we will not be able to change. In case if you want to change that one, you can give it under entry point. Okay, and then once you have written the docker file, we have to create the image, right? So how we can create the image? So we have to build it. So how to build? Docker build -t is nothing but tag, and then you have to give some name for that image. Okay, and then when you give dot, we have to give dot at the end, so it will start building that one. Okay, so in case once the image is created, you have to run it. Okay, how do you run? Docker run -p. We have already given the port number as 3000, right? If you see, we have exposed it on port number 3000. So in case if you want to run it on port 3000, you just give docker run -p, and then you give the port number, and then the name. So this is the name we have given, right? Node app. So whatever name you have given, the image will be created out of that one. So you have to give the same thing. Okay, so that the application container will be running, and then you will be able to access it. Okay, and then we have something called multi-stage docker file. Okay, so normally when you write a docker file and you create an image, it will be of some size, like maybe like 900 MB, or it will be in GBs, or whatever size it is. Okay, so in real time in DevOps, if the image size is so big, in order to push that to any of the repos, or else to push it into the production or testing environment, it will take more time, because the size of the image is more. Okay, why the size of the image is more? Because it will have all the tools, applications, dependencies, everything, and all the unrelevant things will be there. Okay, so those things which are not required, we can be removed. Okay, so what will happen in multi-stage Docker build? So multi-stage Docker file, it will reduce the image size. For example, if it is like 1 GB, it will reduce to like 100 or 200 MB. Okay, and it will have the separate build environments and runtime environments. And the final image which is created, it will be like lightweight and fast. So how this is created? So we will be using multiple from statements. How? In the first stage, we can use a rich base image, so which contains all the dependencies, everything. Okay, so once that is done, we just copy the image or package from that one, and then we just use the lightweight base image like alpine or something, and then we will be able to build the image. Okay, so that the final image which we get from that multi-stage Docker build, it will be like very lightweight, and it will just have the minimal configurations which is required to run that application. Okay, so this is like a very important concept. So this multi-stage Docker build, so most of the time they will ask in the interview. So you can tell like how you use that multi-stage Docker build and what is the advantages of that one. Okay, so how exactly this will be? So the first one is you have to write first stage. Okay, so this is from node, and then you're passing it as builder. Okay, and then same as we discussed previously, we have to pass in the work directory, copy the package, and run npm install. Okay, and then we have to copy the remaining code and then run the package. Okay, once that is done, if you see, they have used nginx because this web app, it has to run on nginx, and alpine. So alpine is the lightweight thing. Okay, and copy from where it is copying from builder. We have to define a name as builder, and it will copy from the builder. Okay, so where exactly in the builder? So it is in the slash app, right? So we are passing slash app. So inside that we may have some other thing, and we will be copying it to this location of the nginx user share nginx html. So this is the default location for web apps in nginx. Okay, and we are exposing on port 80, and when we use cmd and nginx daemon off, so we will be able to run that nginx application. Okay, so this is how we will create multi-stage docker build as well. Okay, now let's see a demo like how we can create a docker file and how to build and how multi-stage docker build will work. Okay. Okay, here we have a demo app. Okay, so inside the demo app, we have two files. One is package.json and another is servers.js. Okay, so let's see what is inside that one. So here it is just a express file, and then they have the code which is like app get request, and it will send the response like Docker demo app running. Okay, and it listens as the port number 3000. Okay, so what will be the output on the console? It will be like once you run this one, it will show server running on port number 3000. Okay, so this is what we have it in server.js, and in package.json we have the name as docker demo version, and then main file is server.js which I've seen earlier, and the express version is 4.18.2, and it start the node server.js. Okay, so this is the sample code which is there. Now what we can do now, in case if you want to create a docker file and if you have to create image out of that one, you have to create a docker file on the same place where you have the code. Okay, now let me check whether I have any images. Okay, so I don't have any images in my environment. Okay, now what I will do, I will try to create a docker file. Okay, I'm going to create it inside the demo app itself. Okay, so I will just do vi docker file. Okay, so first thing is we have to give the base image. So base image will be from, and then we are going to use node. Okay, I'm just giving node 18, and then next is work directory. Okay, so work directory we can give any path, so I'm just giving app, and then we can copy the package.json first. Okay, that is the json file. So first we can copy the json file because that will not change anytime. Okay, because the main code is server.js, that will change frequently. Package.json is for dependencies. Okay, I will just copy that one into the current working location. Okay, so once that is done, I will just run npm install, so that npm is just a package manager. Okay, run npm install. Okay, so once this is done, the remaining code which is there, those is like server.js. Okay, I will copy that one as well. So to copy the remaining things, in case if you have only one file, that is fine. In case if you have multiple files, you can use just dot dot. So dot, the first dot is from the location in our local machine, and second dot is to the location which is defined in the Docker file. Okay, and then we have to expose by default this node applications, it will be exposed on port 3000. Okay, and then once this is done, we can run this one. Okay, how we can run? We can run it using cmd. Okay, and then in cmd we have to always use these braces, and all the commands which we give, it should be like within double quotes and should be comma separated. Okay, first, in case if you have to run an node.js application, it should be like npm and then start. Okay, so it should be comma separated. Okay, each thing should be comma separated and space. Okay, so this is the basic docker file. Okay, so first is the base image which we have given, it is of node 18, and we have given the working directory. First we have to copy the dependency is package.json, and then run npm install. This is the dependency node package manager, and then copy the remaining code which is server.js, and we are exposing it on port 3000, and then we are starting it using npm start. Okay, so once this is done, so in case if you have to run this one, so we have already seen the command, right? So we have to use Docker. First we have to build it. Okay, we don't have any images, right? So if you see, we when we did Docker images, we don't have any images. So we have to build this. Okay, Docker build -t is nothing but tag. Okay, now I will just give the name as demo app. Okay, and then you have to give dot at the end to build the file, because the file is at this location itself, right? So when we give this command, it will start running. Okay, oh sorry, I have given the file name wrongly. So mb docker file. Okay, okay, so it started pulling the node image. Okay, so pulling from library, so downloading. Let's wait for it to complete. So once the first step is completed, then it will move into the second step. Okay, so it will be like 1 GB or something. It may take some time to pull. Okay, okay. So second, it has gone to the second step. So it has moved to the working directory and it is copied the package.json. So everything is running as a layer. Why? Because in case if you are running it as layer, so if you see, it has built the image and it has tagged as demo app latest. If you see Docker images now, Docker images, we have node. Why we should have only one image, right? Why we have two? Because we have defined node, right? So we have defined node in the first step from. Okay, because of that it downloaded node application. Okay, it is of 1.09 GB, and this is the demo app. This is the one which we created. Okay, so we can run this one. Okay, and then why we have multiple layers? So in case next time when we run the same thing, it will not run all the steps again. Okay, it will save all those things in cache, so that only the steps which has been changed, only those things it will run. Okay, that is the advantage of Docker. Okay, now what we can do, now we can try to run this application. Okay, so to run we have to use Docker run. Okay, and then we have to give the port number is 3000, that is the one we have defined, right? So 3000 colon 3000, and then we have to give the name of the image. Okay, what is the name of the image? It is demo app. Okay, just paste it, enter. So if you see, server running on port 3000. Okay, this is what it was there in the code, right? So it is running. Okay, now what I will do, I'll just open a new tab. Okay, now I will just do curl. Okay, curl local host and then 3000. Okay, so what should be the output in this? So the output should be like whatever we have defined in the server.js. Okay, I will just go into demo app cat server.js. If you see server running on port 3000, so this is what we have seen on the console, right? Now what should be the response? So the response should be Docker app running. Okay, now let's see this one curl localhost 3000. Okay, I will just paste it, enter. Okay, if you see Docker demo app running, so this is the response which is given. Okay, now what we can do, now I will just close this one. Okay, I will just close this one, and then we can delete the container as well. Docker ps docker stop ab docker run. Okay, so docker ps hyphen a, so we don't have any containers running. Okay, now what we can do, now we can try to create multi-stage docker file. Okay, so what exactly this multi-stage docker file will do? So if you see, we have the image of size 1.1 GB. Okay, so in case if you have to upload it to any of the things, or else in case if you have to deploy it in production or testing environments, it is going to take a huge time because the image size is very huge, right? So why it is huge? Like it has all the unnecessary dependencies and all unnecessary tools installed. Okay, so which is not necessary for the application to run. What is our goal? Our goal is to run the application. So whatever the components or tools required just to run that application, that is enough. Okay, unnecessary things are not required. So how we can do? So in case if you need create a multi-stage Docker file, so you can create a separate Docker file. So currently if you see, we have one Docker file. Okay, now we can create a Docker file for multi-stage. Okay, so okay, I will just do vi Docker file dot multi-stage. Okay, so I just created a file called Docker file dot multi-stage. So you can just use the same thing which we have defined earlier. Okay, so from we are just using node 18, and then as we have discussed earlier, we have to define it as in capital letters, and then you have to give the name as builder. Okay, so we will be referring this builder in the second stage when we copy this one. Okay, and also we can define it as stage 1. Okay, so first is from, and then we are going to define work dir. Okay, so work dir we can define it as app. So we are giving the same location which we have used earlier. So first step is we copy the package.json, which is the dependencies. Package star.json, because in case if you have like any other files with the package, so even those things will be copied into the present location. Okay, and then you have to run. Okay, what you will run npm install. Okay, so once this is done, you will be copying all the remaining code. Okay, so you can just give it as dot dot so that it will copy all the things. Now you can use the run command. Okay, so here you can use npm, and then you can just run the commands of npm. Okay, so this will create a package, and you will be copying that in the another stage. Okay, so I'll just give it as prune, and then I will name it as production. Okay, so once this is done, so we have to write stage 2. So in this stage, we will be reducing the size of the image. Okay, stage 2, and then it is the final stage here. So if you want, you can write even multiple stages, and you can use multiple from environment in case if your application is complex and you need more minimal image. Okay, so here again we will use from, and then here we are going to use alpine. So it is a node application, so we are going to use the node 18 itself, node 18, and, but we are going to use alpine. Okay, So Alpine is the minimal image which is available in Docker. Okay. So we have given the from, and then work directory we can just use the same. Okay. So here we will just pass in as app, and then here now we have to copy the builder. So the build is copied to this builder. So how we can copy? So we have to give from. Okay, from equal to builder. Okay, these were we have given the reference, so we can use the same reference from builder. And what is the location? It is slash app, correct? So we have to give slash app, and where we are going to copy? We are going to copy here. Okay, so just give another this thing. So one app is here from the first stage, and another slash app is from the second stage. Okay, so we're copying the builder, we are copying from builder in slash app to slash app. Okay, that's why we are giving it like this. Okay, so once this is done, so we are going to expose. Okay, expose and port 3000. Okay, and we are giving the command. Okay, and as we discussed earlier, in case if you are going to give command, so the command should be like npm start. Okay, so that should be like comma separated npm start. Okay, so what we have, so now the multi-stage docker file is ready. Okay, now we have one thing like previously when we have to build this one, we have just given docker build -t, and then we have given, right? So even if it is like a multi-stage docker build, like then how we have to run it? So when we run the multi-stage docker build, then the name which we have given is different, right? So we have to define the name of the file. Okay, so how we can do? So we have to give it as docker build, and then we have to give file. Okay, -f. Okay, because the file name is different, right? So we have to give -f, just paste it. Okay, and then you have to give tag. Okay, I will just give it as demo.multi, uh, because we are going to use it for multi, right? And then you have to give dot. Okay, now if you see the first stage which we have created in multi-stage, and the stage like for Dockerfile which we have created in Dockerfile is same, right? So what it will do, it will skip the entire first stage and it will directly go to second stage, because the first stage will be already copied in the cache. Okay, now I will just do enter. If you see, everything ran so quickly. Before it took time, right? Now everything ran quickly. Why? Because it was in cache. Now it directly went to second, like second half. Why? It is like pulling from node 18. So if you see, the image is ready. So if you see, previously we had the file image size of 1.1 GB, right? Now let me check Docker images. If you see demo multi, what is the image size? It is 129 MB. See, like it is like 10x reduced. Okay, so this is the advantage of multi-stage Docker build. Okay, so once this is done, in case if you want to run this one, you have to just use docker run -p port 3000 colon 3000. Okay, and then you have to give the name of the image. So the image name is demo.multi. Okay, run this one. So it is running on port 80. Now I'll go to second tab, and then I'll just curl localhost 3000. If you see, Docker demo app running. Okay, so it is working. Okay, so this is the advantage of multi-stage Docker build. Okay, so this is like very important with respect to interviews as well. Yeah, that's it, guys. So hope you like this video. If you like, please like and subscribe to the channel. See you in the next class. Okay, bye.